Oh, great. Thanks, Mother, for replacing the baby aspirin with LSD.
All right, welcome in to Week 12, or as we like to call it here, SEC Cupcake Week for the View from C-Deck, as this is the week. Those SEC and a lot of ACC teams, by the way, as well, who both have only the 8 conference games, play a bunch of cupcakes right before their rivalry games because they're assholes and and don't want to play, like, uniform scheduling. Can we get that at least in college football? But I'm here with Dyerwolf, and this man is freaking in fuego. 4-1 again last week on his picks. I went 2-3, so I'm just hovering about 3 games above 500. You're now, 36-19 on the year, almost batting 666. You devil.
I don't know.
Why do I not just tail you?
Yeah, I tailed one of yours though. That under in the scum game that hit base real easily. It got a little scary at the very end.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that was I thought an easy call. But like I was telling you before this, we missed our ballsy. We love the ballsy picks. Ballsy picks being this line doesn't smell right pick. And we missed the most obvious one last week with UCF against Oklahoma State, and then UCF, of course, blows their doors off. And I was like, I mean, I did bet in real life, but I was disappointed in myself. But there aren't a lot of. There's maybe one this week, which I'll see what you think about it. But we will, of course, start with the Ohio State Buckeyes, 28-point favorites. This being an Ohio State podcast, and the over-under of 48.5. It's moved to 49 now already. And we both have this as one of our picks. The same thing. Dyerwolf, I'll let you go with it first.
Yep, I'm thinking the under hits again, where last week I didn't think there was a chance in hell it was going to hit at halftime. It was 35 to 3 at halftime? Or 35
35-3, yeah.
35 to 3. They only needed 8 more points, or maybe 9 to smash my under, and we didn't get it. So even if that happens again in the first half, we might hit this under, and I don't see that happening. I don't see us scoring 5 straight touchdowns in the first half, and I think we see basically the same old story on defense. They might move the ball a little bit, settle for field goals, hold them to about 6, and I think we're going to score just into the 30s.
Yeah, actually. I mean, I don't know why this just hit me, but that's why the unders have been hit. The unders 8-2 in our games this year, and it's because of the bend but don't break defense. Time goes off as teams move the ball a little bit against us, but they never score. So there's no points, and time goes away. Boom, yeah. Under. Pretty simple. Yeah, I'm with you on the under. I think I would take the points, but I wouldn't feel confident either way. It's just one of those pre-scum. You never know what you're going to get out there. We may overlook this game a little bit. But yeah, speaking of scum, one of your picks this week, I'm glad you picked this game. And this one is not the game I was thinking of, but it is a little bit of ballsy pick territory. Only 21-point favorites. It is on the road. Maryland, though, has been absolute trash since they played us. Can't seem to beat anybody or play well at all. And now only 21 in Michigan. They played Michigan tough last year, though, at Scumland. So do you think Mike Loxley's boys get it together, or Scum overlooks them? Or because 21 doesn't seem like enough the way Maryland's been playing.
It was almost kind of ballsy, but not quite. But it's more or less that little crying baby at the end of the game. I think it was a huge emotional hit to them winning against Penn State, and then now they're probably like Harbaugh. Well, they might get that TRO or whatever it's called, and get him on the sidelines. Even though I don't think he does a goddamn thing within the game, he's still able to design the game plan all week. He's in practices. It literally means nothing. Having said that, I think they're going to it's the same thing with us in Minnesota, where 28 really isn't that much when we're at home and Minnesota's trash. But I think they're going to look ahead a little bit. And Maryland's offense at times is good enough to score on them. And just the way their team is, I don't think they don't have huge plays outside of like Corum busting a 40-yard run. So that's the main reason. I think they're going to be looking ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I could see Michigan shutting their butts down, though, but 21 seems it's right in that lane. I think I would take Maryland with the points. And Scum wins by 20 or something dumb like that. The new slate's pretty stacked with the games that we picked here. Georgia and Tennessee, though, being in a big one as Georgia continues their rough slate there. They had this 4-game stretch, which they could probably see that Georgia Tech game, rivalry game, but easy game sitting there at the end of the tunnel. So they traveled to Neyland, though, a Tennessee team that got their doors blown off at Missouri this past week, only getting 10 against Georgia, who just destroyed a top 10 team, absolutely manhandled Ole Miss, to 52-17 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Annihilates them. Seems ballsy pickish, maybe. I've been pointing to this game though. I think Tennessee's gonna be up. It's at Neyland. Their defense isn't that bad, even though they had a bad game last week. But their offense, Milton is trash on the road, acceptable at home. But they do want to run the ball to beat Georgia. That ain't gonna work. Georgia dominated them last year, but it only ended up being a 14-point game, even with the domination. I'm taking Tennessee plus the points, but I think Georgia is able to win.
This one, I thought it was screaming ballsy, but then I started thinking, Georgia's kind of in that Notre Dame run where they just play back-to-back tough opponents, and it just wears on you. And maybe that's what Vegas is thinking. But at any time anybody's questioned Georgia this year, they've answered and just dominated. So I stayed away from it, but it does kind of seem like ballsy pick because, like you said, Missouri gave Georgia their best game of the year. That's why I picked Missouri last week. And Missouri just torched them. So I would expect Georgia to torch them. That's why this spread is weird to me.
Yeah. Another nooner. Penn State hosting Rutgers. Now we know what Penn State does after their big games, which is shit the bed the next week. Oftentimes, usually against a bad team, though, so they don't quite lose. Rutgers getting 19.5 actually scares me a little bit because of that, but that happened earlier this year with Indiana as well, getting 32. And I was like, man, do they know what Penn State does after these big games? But Rutgers just got shut out and got their doors blown off by Iowa, whose defense is good, but not that much better than Penn State's. So it could happen again. But the over-under 43.5, Big Ten games, man, those unders are tasty. They just smell so good. So I'm going with the under 43.5. I had Rutgers plus the 19.5 at first. And I was like, nah, I'll just go ahead and go with that under because both these offenses are not good against a good defense. And, Penn State may be worn down, too, from guarding about 70 straight runs against Michigan. And Rutgers are going to do the same thing. So this could be a game where they just trudge down the field moving the ball, and Drew Aller stinks it up again.
I didn't think about the under in this one. That's a good one. I might actually put real money on that because both of these defenses are great. I respect Rutgers' defense.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, Aller can't freaking throw the damn ball, or they won't even let him try. So, yeah, I could see a really low-scoring game in this one, like an Iowa style.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll get to Iowa in a minute, too, for your shitty Big Ten game of the week. Louisville, though, travels to Miami, also at noon. All these games are at noon that we picked, I swear. But Louisville, traveling to Miami, a Miami team that is 2-4 in their last 6 and has struggled in all those games. Their 2 wins were both overtime wins, so this has been not good, but they're only getting 1.5 at home. Louisville's last road games, they somehow just played 3 straight home conference games, which I think Florida State did that earlier this year, too. I don't know what the ACC is doing. But only 1.5 point spread. Louisville's last road game at terrible Pitt, and they lost by 17. Ballsy pick line, kind of. I'm taking Miami plus the 1.5 because I think that's a real thing. I think Louisville is a totally different team, road and home. Miami actually they played Florida State close last week. They have to have gotten some confidence from that, I would think. And probably enough to get themselves a big win at home and maybe salvage their season in a way. I mean, it's already been a disappointment this year, so something to get themselves going back.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. That line did seem really weird to me, but I just don't. I think Louisville's just been kind of smoke and mirrors this year. After when they beat Notre Dame, it's like they got way more hype than they really deserved.
Yeah, then they shut out Duke, but both home games, like they're just better at home. They've struggled on the road against bad teams too. Struggled at Virginia, they played Virginia at home and only won by 7 this past week. Which I remember I picked Louisville last week for that game. Okay, now for the annual Iowa under from Casey. I'll let you take it here from here already.
Yeah, last week had me scared, man. It was 3-0 at half, and I'm like, oh, give me my money. And then it was like 6-0 midway through the third quarter. And then out of nowhere, I wasn't watching it, but there must have been some pick sixes or something going on. Because then out of nowhere, it was like 23-0.
22.
And I was driving.
Mm-hmm.
They get it down to like the 10-yard line with like a minute left, and then thank God they take some knees because that one more touchdown hit the over. But this one is way higher than the norm for Iowa. It's like, what is it, 38? Is that what it is?
No, 30 and a half. We're still down there in top 10 all-time low territory.
Well, we were 28.5 last week, so this is chump change. I'm seeing like a 10-7 type of game.
Oh yeah, I'll say. I mean, not one of my picks, but I kind of wanted to because these Iowa games are under city. Illinois games have been a little higher scoring lately, so maybe that's why it's moved up a whole 2 points from last week. But these Iowa games, it's just unbelievable how bad they are at offense, but still good at defense. Like I don't know how they do it. It really, you couldn't pay me to watch them play football. It's just terrible.
Yeah.
A game we did not pick, but I felt like we should talk about it because it's two ranked teams, Utah and Arizona. Utah at Arizona. Utah, man, led a lot of the game against Washington last week. Then all of a sudden gets shut out in the second half. Their defense was respectable against a really good offense, though. At Arizona, though, it's a pick 'em. Arizona's been nice at home, though. I think I like the Wildcats to win this game, and if it's a pick, I don't have to worry about any spreads, but not one of my picks for the week.
Yeah, I think I'd go with Utah. I've been riding them a little bit, and it's been working. But pick them. I'm just not that sold on Arizona, but they both have their flaws, I guess.
All right, what's probably the game of the week now? Washington, undefeated, traveling to Oregon State. Both teams like top 10-ish. I expect Oregon State to be top 10 in the next CFP, with Penn State and Ole Miss both losing. Washington only a 1-point favorite on the road. You know I picked a lot of Oregon State games this year. This is one of my picks and one of yours too, I believe. I got Oregon State to win this game. They've been nice at home, especially defensively. Washington has shown some flaws lately. This is not a ballsy pick line because their lines have been kind of low lately anyway for Washington. So it makes a lot of sense. Two top 10 teams. The road team only a 1-point favorite, even though they're undefeated against a 2-loss team. I think Oregon State figures out a way to get it done and gives Washington their first L. But the only thing that scares me, Oregon State's got Oregon on Friday. So this is a tough 2-game stretch. Their rivals are the next one. Last time they'll probably play them. It seems weird to say they look ahead, right? But they could. But they also hold their own destiny in their hands still. They win both these games, they're in the Pac-12 championship game.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't think about that. But yeah, I picked Oregon State in this one. And then it got me thinking just now, say they do win this, Washington's been getting a little bit of hate. They haven't been looking great. So they lose this, they're going to fall pretty far back in the polls, I bet.
Yeah.
So let's say Oregon wins out, and they play again, and Washington somehow beats them again. Does the Pac-12 get left out?
You could. They very well could at that point.
It would, because Washington loses to Oregon State. They're probably going to drop all the way to like 9, something like that.
Mm-hmm. It would put them, but they would need some help for sure, which is weird because they're the best conference. But I mean, that's what you've been calling all year, and in your picks for none of them to make it because you think they just kind of eat each other. I mean, if Oregon State wins out, then easily nobody makes it.
Yeah.
All right, one last game for this week on the smorgasbord. Texas, one of my playoff teams, heading to Iowa State. Last week, they looked like they were heading towards an easy cover against TCU, and then all of a sudden nearly blow a 20-point lead in the fourth quarter. Because Sark gonna Sark every now and then. Ewers is back though for Texas last week. Only laying 8. It is out on the road. Iowa State, we've had them in this. It's almost ballsy pickish territory, but the way Texas has played lately, I don't think the 8's quite there for me. So I'll take Texas, but I don't love it.
I considered this ballsy because we both have them as a playoff team, but they did blow that huge lead. I kind of forgot about that after you just mentioned that. I remembered it, but yeah, you would think this spread would be more like 13.5, something like that. So when I saw it that low, I'm like, something seems a little bit fishy here. So I went with Iowa State.
Okay. Yeah, the slate this week, not great as we head towards CFP. I thought about making my rankings this week. This is usually when I start to do it because my own personal rankings are similar to like a Harbin type system. So I need at least 10 games of data points to go from, but didn't do it this week. I'm going to do it before the next week though. Yeah, going in here, CFP, your thoughts. I'm still having my same teams that I had before, I think, but I'm not loving Texas anymore. Actually, I think I'm going to flush it out. I keep saying FSU is going to lose a game. Now I don't know where they're going to lose it. It'd have to be the ACC championship because Florida, they suck. They're not beating them. So I think I'm taking out Texas. I think they're going to lose one of these games down the stretch, maybe this week. So I have Georgia, Ohio State, because fuck those cheaters up north. They ain't taking that spot. Ohio State's going to figure out a way to do it. Oregon, I think, is the best team in the country. I did put a bet on them on futures this week at 14-1 to win the national championship. So be a cool 140 for me, only a $10 bet. But and then we have Florida State. Yeah, that's my four. I just think that's going to it's going to work out now. I swear I don't think they're that good, and I'd rather see two Pac-12 teams almost go in over than them. But that's what we're going to get. Although Bama could also really throw a wrench in that. If they can beat Georgia, you're going to leave out a 12-win Georgia team that ran the regular season? I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, and I definitely wouldn't put it past Alabama to be freaking Bama, but I'm going to keep it the same. I don't really like putting Texas in there. I could see them losing this week, but I just think the Pac-12 is going to eat itself like I've been saying all year. So Georgia, us, Florida State, Texas, and it would be freaking-tastic. We could play Florida State in the first round.
Yes. No Oregon or Georgia, please. That'd be great. Carrie guessed the Georgia-Alabama line already. It's set for, since that game is already set, they do have a line out for it.
Obviously neutral, so Georgia minus 5.5.
This is why you're freaking 36-19 or whatever. 5 is the line right now. That's pretty good. That's pretty good right there. I think I would have guessed. I like Bama on that line, to be honest with you. Though that is a classic we don't know line. Yeah. Like the 5-ish area, 4.5, 5 is the we're not quite sure what this is going to do line.
I thought I got there because obviously Georgia's favored, right? It's going to be more than a field goal, I would think. But I don't think it's going to be a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
So
somewhere right in the middle there. Boom! Look at this reason. You can't question it at all. All right. Yeah. Dyerwolf, 66% hitting. Tail this man. Make some money this week. Go Bucks. Fuck those cheaters up north. We will see you guys next time.
Hey guys. Whoa, big gulps, huh? All right. Well, see you later.
A rich man's world.